Greetings and salutations, dear Vikings, and welcome to the new Manor Lords patch. Slavic Magic, haha, pun intended, is doing again some magic on his game and is giving us a lot of new content. Let's dive a little bit into the most important aspects of the chunk of patch notes that we got with the updates to Manor Lords. First up, we got rid of those barter pack stations and now can do everything from the trading post to trade within our own territories to send and receive resources back and forth. That more or less merges two buildings together to one, and we don't have to do a lot of more micromanaging there and have everything neatly in one space. And it kind of makes sense that the trading post is to be used to set items back and forth between your territories as well. Up next, we're getting a new mechanic. Now, whenever a person dies, there's a 30-day mourning period that blocks growth. In other words, your villages won't have intercourse and make babies. And it's kind of, it's kind of okay because they're mourning the death of aunts or daddy or whoever died within the family. So they're all wearing black. No, they're not wearing black. But, like back in the days where you had the mourning period of time. I remember back in the days living with my grandparents. But I'm drifting off. Back to the patch. Fitting to the mourning mechanics, corpses now have a proper visual presentation when your villagers come over to pick up the corpse and bury them, built in this very lovely looking wrapped around a body sack. Am I the only one who's getting some weird dark feelings around this kind of thing? I hope they don't wiggle when they move them into the corpse pit or something like that. Oh boy, oh boy. Manor Lord zombie invasion coming in. Up next, we got some nice additions to the armor for our lovely, lovely retinue, and also some armor for the militia. Look how glorious that is. That blue tint definitely gives me some French vibes, but guessing of the retinue customizer, we can probably color it to our liking. Behold, behold, the king is here, pay thy taxes. With that, we got a mechanic bag. There was some in the pre-alpha version already available or played around with it a little bit. It is the annual royal tax, or the king's tax. So now you start your first 5 years tax-free. After that, your king will demand some tributes because, well, you're one of his lordlings, and that's how it worked back then. Still works, only that we paid not to the king, but to the state. Followed up by some visual improvements, something that we desperately wanted because it was killing our immersion. And that is the large granary building finally does have proper animated doors. Finally, you can see those doors swinging up and down as your villagers bringing in resources or taking stuff out. Up next, we're getting a new patron. Patrons that are being held by banner carriers. An emblem or a symbol of some saints or some very important personality that they believe in, that they hope to get protections from. And this patron is called Saint Maurice. Shoutouts to my dear content creator friend from Germany, Mr. Maurice, working for the GameStar over there. Totally not inspired by his name, right? Slavic, right? Wink, wink. Up next, we have another new mechanic, something where we can despicably, is that the word I'm looking for? Where we can decide exactly which burger plot is allowed to build up stalls or not. This ultimately helps us that, for example, burger plots that are focusing on making weapons or production certain tools, that their family are not getting busy building up some stalls out there and focusing on actually working on their production. And we're getting those swords finally in so we can defend ourselves. And speaking of plots, they also get now in their production finally the construction reserve tool, meaning that you can set up how much of a certain material shall remain in your storage. In this case, for example, planks, so they don't use all the planks that you need for building for making shields and alike, so that you have a little bit of a reserve remaining for your expansions and upgrades further down the road. Followed by ladies of manors. Finally, we have a lady module for our lords, in this case, lady, to stroll around the streets of your humble village and settlement that you created. First female model has been traded by Slavic and his team. looking very, very fabulous. I still have fingers crossed in the future. Would love to be able to customize this fully to your extent with different patterns on the clothing, maybe your cloak of arms, and so on. I can wait to make my Viking. And of course, a lot of minor bug fixes, optimizations for performance, and all kinds of user interface improvements and accessibilities going onwards. All of it and the full patch notes you can find in the description down below. These are, for my side, the most important ones to share with you. See you in the next video. If you want to be staying tuned with Manor Lords, want more Manor Lords content, of course, make sure to subscribe to the channel as we're presenting RPGs and strategy games over here. And giving you the occasional news and updates to odds and ends that I find interesting. With that, I wish you all the best. See you in the next video.